welcome to Hispanic Agenda, Washington's only bilingual news program. I'm Alejandro Negron. Thank you for watching. This week on Hispanic Agenda, Election Day is here, and many polls suggest the next Tuesday's election is the Republican Party's to lose. A new report by the Pew Research Center says that Latino support for Democrats has fallen and that immigration isn't a deal breaker for Latino voters. Let's get the roundtable's take. National correspondent for Telemundo Network, Lori Montenegro, is here. ABC 7 News, Jeanette Reyes, and Judy Pino from the Libre Initiative join me now. Welcome to the program. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so let me start with this. So this new report by Pew says that Democrats are losing support among Latino voters while they maintain a clear advantage with those voters. Let's take a look at the congressional vote intention among Latino voters per Pew. Back in 2010, for the Democrats, 65%, for Republicans, 22%. Today, 2014, Democrats, 57%, Republicans, 28%. What's behind that decrease in support for Democrats among Latino voters?
Well, if you talk to people out in the street, Hispanic voters, they tell you that there's a lot of frustration with the president in particular because we didn't see immigration reform come to pass. But also, you know, we don't... Latinos are not just a one issue, voting block.
Sure.
There is the economy, there is education, there is opportunities, and so Hispanics are beginning to broaden the way they view both parties. But I think a lot of this, though, does go back to a little bit of frustration with Democrats, and it has to do with immigration reform.
Judy Pino, do you think it's immigration reform?
Well, as Lori said, immigration is not the only thing. Immigration for the Hispanic is about dignity. After all, we're all Hispanic, and about acceptance. But, I mean, it comes down to the reality of the daily life of Hispanics. You know, the poverty levels are through the roof. It's been a steady, high rate of unemployment, way above the national rate. These are things that are affecting our lives. So people start to wonder, well, you know, where's this hope and change that we were talking about? We need something different. So they start paying attention, and that's when they start getting educated.
And it really does look, Jeanette Reyes, like the Latino vote is up for grabs, really. If we take a look at these numbers, the question asked was, does it matter who's in power? That was the question. When you look at it, in 2012, 61% of the people said that the Democratic Party mattered, that they took Latinos into consideration, that they care about Latinos, 61%. That number today is 50%. The Republican Party stays the same, 10%. But the no difference answer, I think, is interesting. No difference back in 2012 was 23%, who basically that it didn't matter who was in power, the Republicans or the Democrats. Today is 35%.
Yeah. I think that number for me was the most striking. When I think there's nothing worse than apathy among voters, and when you're getting that, especially among young voters, that's a problem. I don't think it's such a big deal when you have people kind of going against each other, but when you have people in the middle that just don't care, that's a problem. And President Obama set the bar really high when he was campaigning initially back in 2008. But even if he didn't set it high, it's just been so stagnant, and there hasn't been movement on any of the issues, especially immigration. But I think immigration was really the straw that broke the camel's back.
But let's take a look at immigration, and this is the last numbers that we want to show you. When you ask, will you vote for a candidate who disagrees with you on immigration but agrees with you on most other issues? Latino voters, by 54%, said, yeah, we will support a candidate who doesn't support immigration reform if I agree with him on other issues. What do you make of that?
I make of it, and I think I want to piggyback on something that Jeanette said, and that is that I think the American electorate, and I'm going to include Hispanics in there, are just frustrated with both parties. And the infighting on the Hill and the constant crisis to crisis to crisis. Is the government going to shut down? Are taxes going to be lowered? And they just, like Judy was saying, these things start to affect their everyday life. And when they're just frustrated, they think they're tired. And that's why I also think that we're beginning to see more and more people not identifying themselves with either party, really saying they are more independent. And this is where we come into this number that is surprising so many, saying we're not talking about embracing the Republican Party, but we are talking about individual candidates. And that's why I think the electorate, we're ready to see other people, exactly.
If it was a relationship.
It really has been the perfect storm, hasn't it?
Finally, I want to ask you guys about if the Republicans take back the Senate, what can we expect in the next 2 years. It will be divided government. Now they will have full control of the legislative branch. What do you think that's going to mean for the country in the next 2 years?
That's the million-dollar question.
Some argue that it could be positive.
It
that
could
we
be
could
positive.
have a more productive legislative session.
Exactly. I think the Republicans are going to have a responsibility now that they will have to, produce. They will have to act. And the president, on the other hand, he only has 2 years left, and if he wants to see anything of his agenda accomplished, he may be more willing to be flexible. So that's why you see so many people saying that it could be something very positive, that both have to come together and govern, basically, because we just don't have people governing right now.
Your thoughts?
The scary thing is that that number of apathy is at 35%, and that means it can go up higher. Republicans have been doing a lot of talking, criticizing President Obama. If they are not productive in the time that they have, it'll be very interesting to see come 2016.
Yes.
How much people care or how little they care.
All right. Well, Judy Pino, your last word.
Hopefully there won't be a need for executive action. Hopefully, if you have a House and a Senate of Republicans, we will be able to push some things through and actually add some productivity.
Do you think the president will be forced to sign an immigration reform bill that does not include a path to citizenship?
I don't think President Obama can be forced to do anything. I think he will do probably what he believes is best. I don't even think that immigration activists would actually accept something that doesn't have, or at least give people the opportunity to apply for citizenship if that is what they would want.
Well, I want to thank the panel, insightful conversation. Lori Montenegro, Judy Pino, and Jeanette Reyes. Thank you so much. When we come back, Washington, D.C. voters seem ready to legalize marijuana. How do you feel about that? What you need to know next with Valeria Ponte from Telemundo, Washington. Welcome back. This Tuesday, voters in the district will decide Initiative 71, which makes the possession of a limited amount of weed legal, but not the sale of the narcotic. There are strong opinions on both sides of the debate, as well as many factors to consider. Telemundo Washington's Valeria Ponte explains.
Alejandro, it's a topic with so many sides to it. The health risks, how to control it once it's legal, will it decrease or increase crime, and how much money will industries make? But in the end, both campaigns, Two is Enough and DC Cannabis, want what's best for the community, even though their opinions of how that will be achieved differ.
Decriminalization of marijuana has passed, and so has the medical use of it in D.C. But now, on November 4th, it might go a step further, legalizing it for recreational use.
I think it should be legalized because the prohibition of marijuana is worse than the plant itself. Okay, we can refocus police resources on more important things. We have crimes that go unsolved all the time, real crimes, rapes, murders, violent crime. We should be focusing on those things.
Adam Eidinger has been working on the DC Cannabis campaign way before July 7th, when it was decided that in the midterm election, Initiative 71 would be put in the ballot, asking DC voters to decide if they're in favor or against legalizing marijuana. Since signs are seen in every corner of the Capitol, the ads say, like Adam mentioned, it will refocus police resources and stop discrimination.
So if you're targeting African Americans and Latinos more frequently for racial profiling, you're going to find more marijuana with them, even though they use marijuana at the same rate as white people.
But William Jones does not agree with either of the messages DC Cannabis campaign has been promoting.
We're giving the people that have been having these unfair practices, these discriminatory practices, we're giving them a free pass. We're saying we're not going to deal with that. We're just going to take the easy road out and legalize marijuana, and the issue's still going to be there.
William Jones is the chair of the Two is Enough campaign. The two refers to alcohol and tobacco. William is asking voters to see the effects these two have had on the community.
Even if you want to ignore the health part and the youth use, it's still going to be it's going to drain police resources in the area, and it's going to see an increase in arrests, which is really something that we don't want to see.
And each have a different opinion of how voting yes or no will help the community.
The question we're asking people is, do we really want to see a third legal recreational drug and the cost that that's going to inflict on the city, on on law enforcement, on families.
I think we can reduce a lot of the suffering in our world that comes from this prohibition by just making it legal. And we can also raise tax revenue. We can use it for our schools. We can use it for affordable housing. Right now, all the marijuana that's sold is untaxed.
But both agree on one thing. They are completely against marijuana industries targeting the youth or airing ads promoting marijuana.
Now, another point that the DC Cannabis campaign mentioned is that if the initiative passes, people should be taught about the rules that will be in place, safety concerns, and how you can't sell it to anyone 21 or younger.
Valeria, thank you. Now, let me ask you, they're willing to legalize the possession of marijuana, but what about the sale of marijuana in the district?
That's exactly right, Alejandro. Right now, we would be voting for legalizing the possession, not the sale, but the DC Council will be meeting to decide, are they going to put regulations and tax, and they are inviting the public to come to that meeting.
All right, thank you so much, Valeria Aponte from Telemundo, Washington. Coming up, we follow up on the migrant children crisis. A list of recommendations will soon be presented to the U.S. government as it deals with the many issues confronting our communities and the minors. Hispanic Agenda will be right back. Welcome back to Hispanic Agenda. We've been following the child migrant crisis for months, and while other events have taken the focus off of the issue, there are still many questions unanswered as to what will happen to these children. As Executive Director of Cannabis, my next guest has been at the forefront of the efforts to find a solution to the crisis and has also served as a champion for many of these children. Welcome to the program, Abel Núñez from Carecen.
Thank you for having me.
You recently testified at a hearing by the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights at the Organization of American States. What's your biggest concern at the moment as to these children?
Well,
what did you tell them?
Yeah, well, one, that they're now in our community. So we know that in the DC metro area, we have over 6,000 children that have been placed, and those are the ones that we know about that went through Border Patrol. But what we're trying to ensure happens is that the U.S. continues to have an appropriate response. We're still not satisfied with what has been done, and although several things have been said that the administration will do, but we're concerned about the treatment still in the detention centers, their ability to get legal access, and their ability to integrate into their new homes.
Let me ask you about that. The cases of the children, I understand, have been accelerated through the immigration court system. Is this a good or a bad thing? And what are the consequences that you're seeing because of this?
From our perspective, it's not a good thing. Anytime you expedite the legal process, there are dangers that some children would not have the ability, one, to get the legal counsel that they need, or two, that the courts are so trying to really meet the new policy that a lot of the children's rights may be violated. So we're concerned about that, and we want to make sure that each child gets legal representation that is paid by the U.S. government. That's
very expensive. What is the government telling you? What is the administration saying about this?
Well, exactly.
What is their...
One of their main things is expense, but one of the other things that they can do, that there are multiple remedies. One is to understand that these children are fleeing violence and that they're refugees, and the state can provide a class action protection, like a TPS, like refugee status, something that allows this children...
So let's talk about the TPS, temporary protected status. At the moment, countries like El Salvador, Honduras have a temporary protected status. Could you explain to the audience what that is?
Yeah, exactly. So whenever there's a man-made disaster or a natural disaster in the country, the administration has the ability to protect the people, the nationals living in the U.S. from deportation, and give them work permits and the ability to stay without the fear of deportation.
They would even get a Social Security card.
Exactly, because they have the ability to work here legally and actually provide for the family. It's a good way to send foreign aid without having the taxpayers to pay for it. With the children, it'll be something similar, a little bit different, because they're actually coming in and they're getting met at the border. So they're not actually, they may not be in U.S. territory until they get caught. But there has to be some sort of mechanism that the government can use to allow for the protection and to allow them to go to the due process. And that's what we're looking for.
And that's what you're looking for. Let me ask you about the administration's response. I was reading a Washington Post report written by Melinda Henneberger, who writes that the administration sent to this meeting that you want to testify officials who who can implement policy, but not necessarily set it. And there are some people that are very critical of the administration. Mary Meg McCarthy of the Heartland Alliance National Immigration Justice Center was quoted saying that the administration offers false compassion and suggested that the Bush administration was better than the Obama administration at dealing with issues like this one. What's your opinion?
Well, I mean, I think that's what you have to see about the policy. They are trying to use the mechanisms of due process as a deterrent. Basically, they want to show that the system itself demonstrates to the rest of the world that the doors of the U.S. are closed, and so they shouldn't send the children here, or they shouldn't send any refugees. When they're talking about that the process in and of itself has to serve as a deterrent, it's a concern, because that means that they're trying to use the system to basically close the doors on people.
Who was better, Bush or Obama?
It's all perspective. I think that with Bush, we knew where he was coming from, and so we could adjust to it. Obama has, unfortunately, said both things, and he's trying to play both sides.
All right, Abel Núñez from Carecen, thank you so much. One of the biggest family-oriented events is just around the corner, Telemundo's Feria de la Familia. From health screenings to the stars of the network's novelas, there's a lot to look forward to. All the details coming up on Hispanic Agenda. Welcome back to Hispanic Agenda. La Feria de la Familia is one of those signature events in Latino DC. Every year, thousands show up to enjoy live music, get close and personal with the stars of Telemundo's novelas, and more importantly, to get healthy. With us today to talk a little bit more about this excellent event that everybody goes to, really, is Pamela Nieto from the Greater Washington Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and also DC Health Link. Pamela, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, this is a great event. For how many years have they been doing this already? I mean, for over a decade, this event has been going on. Tell us about the event and why people should go.
Well, I've actually been going to this event for quite a while, not as part of DC Health Link or the Greater Washington Hispanic
Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, Chamber of Commerce. But I think it's just a great event for the Hispanic community. This year, we're going to be participating, the Greater Washington Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, along with DC Health Link. We're going to be participating there. We're going to have a booth informing people about the DC Health Exchange in the district.
Good.
And, you know, we're about to open our new health enrollment on November 15th, which will be open until February 15th.
All right, so you guys are going to be there making sure people know what to do, where to go, how to get coverage, which is, of course,
exactly.
important.
And most importantly, we're going to be offering small businesses a free broker for their company in order to enroll their employees in the health exchange.
All right, and then on top of all of that, we're also going to have health screenings at the Feria de la Familia. So if you want to get checked for, diabetes and other things, they can do that as well.
Exactly. And they'll also, there's going to be a lot of new performances and celebrities.
Absolutely.
So I'm really excited to take a look at that.
I don't know if people really, so many people go to the event. I don't know if it's so much about getting healthy or getting your picture taken with, the hot star from the evening novela.
David Chacorro.
I don't watch novelas, but I'm sure somebody will correct us.
I don't either, but I heard he's very good looking.
Yeah?
Yes.
Are you looking forward to that?
I am looking forward
she's
to
always
that.
looking forward to it. All right, as well, the event also has a lot of music, a lot of cultural exchanges also. As you know, the Latino community is very diverse. We don't all come from one place, so different countries will be represented on the stage, and we definitely want you to go. Let's put the information on the screen, the date for this event, or if you can help me with the date for the event.
The date should be November 9th.
November 9th.
And I believe it begins at
12.
At 12.
At 12, and there it is on the screen from 12 to 6 at the DC Armory. The admission is free, and we invite everyone to go. We'll definitely be there. You get to meet Pamela Nieto. You get to
eat good food.
And good food as well.
Exactly.
All right, so don't miss
and check your cholesterol afterwards.
All right, and the other thing I wanted to bring up, the event starts at 12, it ends at 6. It is not just an event to go for a few hours. You can literally stay there all day because a lot of entertainment, and I know that Telemundo is going to have their green screen there for people who want to play along and be a weathercaster that day. So you're, again, invited to go for that too.
Yeah,
right.
and they're going to have around what, like 20,000 to 30,000 people there.
Yes.
That's what they usually have. So it's going to be a really exciting event.
All right. So that's La Feria de la Familia this November 9th at the DC Armory. For more details, you can go to holaciudad.com. Bueno, Pamela Nieto, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for the important work that the Greater Washington Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is doing also to inform people, not only when it comes to business issues, but also health issues with the DC Health Act.
Exactly, and we're actually having our business expo next year on March 24th, where we're going to be doing a huge health exhibition, so stay tuned.
All right, and we'll have you back for that.
Yeah,
All right, thank you, Pamela Nieto. Bueno, please check out our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter at Agenda_DC. Tune in to Telemundo Washington for the Spanish version of this program, and be sure to join us again next week here on News Channel 8. Have a great weekend, and thank you for watching. I'm Alejandro Negron. We'll see you next time.